All right, good morning, Quintero Cupertino. Hope you guys had a great day yesterday after our call or last call. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful there, end of our first week of the surge, and want to um, just give a moment. We're going to talk about first book that we'd like to recommend for all of you to read. After the week's training, I thought it would be appropriate to select a book that would kind of reinforce, but also provide more information on the skill involved, the theory involved, and the practice involved in executing what you've learned this week. Um, and this is a good one. This is one of the top books out there on sales and what a sales position actually is. And I always found it quite interesting that a lot of realtors don't like that title. They don't like to think themselves as salespeople. And maybe that's because overall, often that title doesn't have the power and the glory that other industries have or other titles have. But it's not a bad word. It's not anything that any of us should be ashamed or embarrassed about. The practice of being a citizen is not in the title, it's not in the word, it's in how you execute, it's how you meet people and how you treat them and what you provide in terms of a service and analysis and guidance in what they are trying to achieve. And I want all of you to get to that point if you're not there. And if you want to call yourself a realtor, an advisor, it's all good, it's all fine. But at the heart, at the core, is when you get to a point when you are the best in your field, the best at what you do, and provide the kind of service and guidance and care that homeowners and potential homeowners are looking for. There's got to be a point of pride in that. And then I always told agents that I've trained, I tell them, you have to understand two things. You need to strive every day to be the best you can be. And then you also have to understand that not everybody in our field takes that approach. And so when you do not reach out and call and talk to people, gain their trust and service their needs, then someone who does not have the care and pride and skill that you do is going to. And I never shy away from telling agents that work with me, consider that when you don't pick up the phone, when you don't send the emails, when you don't meet, have an appointment, and give the care and service that these people need, you're doing a disservice to them because you have the skill, you have everything that they need. And so take that as a point of pride. Take that as a way to maybe change the perception of what a sales person is. It's not just a boiler room. It's not just you dialing for dollars. It's you really caring and wanting to help people in one of the most important things that they're going to do in their financial life, certainly, and this their life in general. So take that in mind when you read Fanatical Prospecting, when you're practicing the skill, the craft of salesmanship, of being a salesperson. Make your own definition, bring your own care to the job, the industry, and I think you'll be really happy with that, and so will the people that you talk to. So with that, I shared, Jess and I were sharing which book we should start with, and this was one of Jess's favorites, and I said it'd be nice if you shared a little bit about your own experience with the book. Jess, I don't know if you're ready. I don't have my screen completely up, but are you there, Jess? All right, I'll let him jump in when he's ready. But so this morning it's going to be a little lighter. The day is going to be a little lighter. Um, we go hard and heavy Mondays through Thursdays. We'll do it again next week. And Fridays, we want you to just, again, we'll usually do a book or something else a little more lighthearted, easier to swallow. We won't take the whole hour this morning, but I want to start by sharing this book. Some of you have read it, some of you have heard about it. I really encourage all of you, even if you read it, to read it again. It's really going to reinforce everything that we're teaching. It will bring it better into better focus. And again, hopefully instill a sense of pride in what you do and how you do it, and help you bring down any reluctance you have about calling and talking to new people, especially. All right, so here we go. The definition of fanatical: motivated or characterized by an extreme, uncritical enthusiasm. That uncritical word is important. Motivated and embrace the role and title of salesperson. The mantra of a fanatical prospector is one more call. There's always time for one more call. The difference between superstars and salespeople, I shared a bit about this in one of the previous trainings, but the difference is superstars are relentless, unstoppable prospectors. They are obsessive about keeping pipeline full, anywhere and anytime attitude, no excuses. The number one reason for failure in sales is an empty pipeline, which stems from a failure to prospect. In sales, business, and life, there are only three things you can control: actions, reactions, and mindset. Incredibly important, right? The actions, a lot of you decided to take Jess and I up on this challenge of getting into this program, getting into this rigorous daily routine. And that action, I hope, has been profitable. I hope it has been well rewarded this first week. And I hope it really engages you and encourages you to continue with us. The reactions should be in your, in what you are doing, the growth and pride in what you do and how you do it. There's the level of skill growing, the ease or growing ease of the actual business that you're in. And then, of course, the mindset. Embrace and understand what you do and how you do it. Embrace and understand Jess is trying to accomplish as our leader, as the person responsible primarily for the direction and the growth and the success of our office. And then the mindset that you need to be the best you can be. That idea that we've been talking about is, it's not about the destination. It's not about how many deals you get this week. It's about growth. If you are better today in your role as a real estate agent than you were on Tuesday morning when we started, this has been an incredibly powerful week for you. And it has been, by extension, an incredibly powerful week for the office and, in fact, for the company. People are watching you. They're watching Jess. They're watching me. And I'm proud to say that I think we can stand with pride in those eyes of people looking on at what we're doing. And you guys are the biggest part of that, because your success and your continued effort in this process is what they're really going to see first, right? So don't wish for things to get easier. Wish for you to get better. Here's the funny thing. As you get better, it gets easier, right? So, but that's, again, the mindset. If you're just constantly wishing that the deal was there, that the market wasn't as tough, that COVID-19 wasn't in place, that these restrictions weren't there, and that's the reason why you're not having the year, then you have no ability to do any of that. But when you get better, you do have control of that. That goes to the point of access, remember? You chose to work here. We have dedicated ourselves, Jess and I and Mark, to provide the best training, the best service to you to manifest your desire to get better. And that's what it's all about. We're not going to wish to get better. All right, Jess is here. Jess, you wanna share with? I have you on mute. I don't know. My screen is different today. I wonder if I did something. I know it's a webinar. Okay, I hit allow to talk. Can you hear me, Jess?
Hello?
Hey, there you go. I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Figured it out.
I'm sitting here jumping up and down like, hello?
Yeah, I'm getting better at Zoom too, so I've grown this week.
I know. Let me see here. I just found my video somewhere. Let's see. Does that work?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just get to the point, right? It's like, Robert started off, Fanatical Prospecting is one of my favorite books. I think it gives you the most complete overall kind of headspace on what's going on with, our business, prospecting, etc. There are just two things that I wanted to kind of just cover just real quick. One of my favorite all-time instructors, in fact, when I first started in this business back in 1989, the first cassette tape, yes, they were cassette tapes then, that I got from Gino was one from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was talking about how to be successful in the 90s in real estate, right? And one of the thing I always like about Jim Rohn is the simplicity of everything that he talks about. So the one thing in this, in chapter 8 is time in this book, and he goes, to succeed in sales, simply talk to a lot of people every day. And you know what's exciting? There's lots of people, right? So I always remember that, it's like this morning I got out of bed and I ride this Peloton bike every morning. I did not want to get out of bed this morning. I did not want to ride this morning, right? So it goes in line with a little bit of what Robert was talking about. There are days when you come in and you just don't want to do it. But the difference between the people that are hugely successful and the ones that aren't are the guys that can motivate themselves to get on the bike and do it, right? I had help from my wife this morning. She was like, no, ride day, get up, do your thing, right? I tell you, when I got off the bike, I felt really powerful, really good. So the chapter in this book that always jumps out at me is chapter 6 on numbers, right? They go through, talk about elite athletes, right? And elite athletes, whether you know it or not, they measure and track everything that they do, right? Tiger Woods, I guarantee you, when he goes to the range, it's with a purpose. He's working on, say, a 5-iron because he was off 2 degrees on, an approach shot on one of the holes he was playing. If you go out to, any wide receiver, tight end Kittle for the 49ers, I guarantee you, they track his food, they track his workouts, they track his strength training, they track everything, right? And all it does is it gives you a vehicle to see where you are on the road, right? And the one part it's on that really kind of hits me every single time, it's on page 39, and it talks about the sales manager going back into his company one afternoon. And he comes across one of his sales guys, and he goes, hey, how's it going today? The guy goes, awful. He goes, there's just nobody out there willing to pull the trigger today. No one's buying today. So the guy goes, well, great. Well, tell me, how many calls have you made today? The guy goes, a lot, right? You can see where this is going. And he goes, a lot? He goes, well, okay. Well, what does a lot mean? How many did you actually call? Oh, I don't know. But man, it was a lot. I'm sure it was around 50 calls today. And the guy goes, oh, wow, okay. Well, something's changed, right? And he goes, nobody wants to do anything. He goes, let me see your tracking sheet. And the salesman looks down and he kind of looks back at the guy and goes, well, I really didn't get a chance to look at my tracking sheet today or fill it out today just because I was so busy making calls, right? So the guy goes, but I track all my numbers in Salesforce. The guy goes, okay, hey, that's great. So he goes in and he was looking for a pattern, right? The sales manager was like, wow, this seems like kind of a pattern. What's going on here? So he goes, he had the salesman walk him through a couple of calls that he'd made during the day. And then doing that, they went into Salesforce and checked the system and see what the system said as far as how many calls he really made. When he really looked at the systems and how many he really made, he'd made 12 calls, nowhere close to what he thought he was actually doing, right? And the thing that I want to drive there is, and this goes across everything we're going to teach you guys, is that the importance of tracking what you're doing will give you, again, the vehicle to the road of success, right? It'll tell you where you are on the road. Without tracking, without being meticulous about what you're doing and where you're investing your time. How many dials did I make today? How many contacts did I get today? That's the stuff that we need so that we can help you and understand where you are and what things you need to work on. Okay. So, my book, this is my favorite thing. Every time I read this thing, it it reinforces the importance of making sure you're tracking and understand what your numbers are. So that's all I got today, Robert. Thank you. And,
awesome. And that's going to be a great lead into what we're going to be doing next week, Jess.
Yep.
And we'll continue with the activities and the training and the directed, focused exercises. But we'll start bringing in this idea of how do you track? How do you start to measure performance and not having to wait for closings to see if you're being successful or not. So that's actually a really good lead into what we'll be doing more of next week. So thank you for that. And then here's another thing. Not everybody will read the book, but it's great to have Jess that has read it many, many times, who understands the purpose and the goals behind the book, so that you can share with each other, hopefully, but also get some insight and some help from Jess. And I know Carol and Ken and I had our team read it. They've been reading it this week. You may have noticed that they report on their afternoon reporting how much of the book they've read. So let's continue on what we're talking about and what the idea of the book is. So it also points out the 7 mindset of a fanatical prospector. They're optimistic and enthusiastic, competitive, confident, relentless, thirsty for knowledge, systematic and efficient, adaptive and flexible. And these are all things we'll help you with. A lot of the things that we design and training are around these things. You may have heard or caught when I introduced Linda yesterday, and she said, okay. And I said, okay, you're always great. And I said, lie to us, say you're great. And so this is part of what I mean by it, right? You're always on stage in this business. And you got to learn that. You also have to be able to, when you're not feeling your best, let people know and have them help you. But also learn when you're on stage, when you're performing, you're optimistic, enthusiastic, you're competitive, all of these things. All of the things are really good. Not all of these things are natural to all of us, right? But you can learn, you can kind of emulate, and you can put on this game face that will help you immensely. I like this point that cold calling is interrupting. If you want to succeed, you have to be okay with interrupting your prospects. What mindsets are most important to you, right? For me, I'm competitive. I would probably say the first 3 are the ones that are most natural to me. Optimistic and enthusiastic. I'm super competitive and very confident. Sometimes without reason, but I don't let that stop me. So look at these things. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? Where you're strong, emphasize them. Where you're weak, try to grow into them. Balanced prospecting is also another thing. And when, again, in the training, when we have you doing multiple things, CMAs, calls, emails, text, this is that idea. Use multiple prospecting avenues, phones, in-person, email, all of these things. The foundation of a winning prospective strategy is balance. You will find you are better at some than at others, but it doesn't mean you stop the others. There's always going to be some leverage and balance in your business when you have multiple areas where you are looking for business. The 3 laws of prospecting. Number 1, universal law of need. The more you need something, the less likely you will get it. Typically occurs when your pipeline is depleted. When desperate, you no longer focus on what is needed for success. You focus on what will happen if you do not get what you need. I know, Jess, you've experienced this in agents so many times over the years. It's that just in time. They're in a bad place, so they go and find a deal. How do they find that deal? In a rush, they do all the things they should be doing every day in a very compact time, and they find the deal. And so understanding this, learning that is almost tricking yourself in always doing the things you need to do. So this universal law of need is understood, is balanced, and that always you're in that desperate mode from deal to deal to deal. The second one is the 30-day rule. Prospecting done in this 30-day period will pay off for the next 90 days. When I showed you the chart yesterday that showed that increase in calls, and I told you I can see the future. This is what I was talking about. I can see Cupertino having a bigger, better month in June, July, and August because of the work that all of you are starting to do starting on Tuesday. The law of replacement. Becky has 30 prospects in her pipeline. Her closing percentage is 10%. She closes one deal. How many prospects remain in her pipeline? When you exit or you remove someone from your pipeline at a 10% rate, you have to add at a 10% rate. The ratios remain the same. So celebrate when you get a closing, but no, that means you have to increase your marketing, your prospecting by that same amount to replace and maintain a healthy pipeline. That's the law of replacement. Okay, so what holds us back? There's 3 P's that are holding you back in your career, in your business here. And they are procrastination, perfectionism, paralysis from analysis. And they're all connected in some way. You know what procrastination is. It's the easiest one to understand. We all have it at some level. It's that I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it this afternoon. I'll do it next week. We know what'll happen. Other things happen. Other things take the place. Other things become more important, and it never happens. It never ultimately works. When we're teaching you the last item in your daily check-in sheet, number of tasks completed, that is directly tied to this idea of procrastination. If you're building what we're asking you to, and you have a database and you have tasks every time you talk to someone, and you have that list and reminders, then you do it when it's due. And that's how you should get in that cadence of accountability, where one thing you're always doing is reporting the things you've accomplished. The perfectionism, the idea that it's not ready to go. I need to change the font. I need to change this. I need to get better at the script. Every reason under the sun. If you wait until you're perfect, you will never sell another house. Just go and do it. The act of doing it is making you better. If you're really looking for perfection, then act on what you're trained on. Act on the systems you build. Act on the tasks you are given. That act of doing is leading you to that better place. That you'll never reach perfection, but you'll get closer and closer by doing than you will by planning. All right. The paralysis from analysis, overthinking, guilty. I'm analytic by nature. I love to think. I always tell agents the story of, like, I was never a great door knocker, because by the time I got to the front door, I've already had the conversation on why they're not going to work with me. And that's something that I know I have to work on, right? Again, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes they're the same thing. My ability to analyze markets and what's going on is really, really helpful to me in this business. But my ability to analyze a conversation before it ever happens, and knowing that in real estate, most of the conversations ended, I'm not going to work with you. I fall to this trap a lot, and I try to fight it. And I want you to do so also. That's paralysis from analysis. You don't do because you're still thinking about how you're going to do it. Right, the 4 objectives from prospecting. Set an appointment. Always set an appointment. We talked about that yesterday. You should wake up and the first thing on your mind is, I need to set appointments today. If I do nothing else today, but I set appointments, I'm going to be extremely successful. Gather information and qualify. If you remember when we talked about LM Mama, LM Papa, it's not just a script, but it is gathering the information you need to qualify the client to work with you. Close a sale, build familiarity, right? If you do not have a plan and you do not know your objectives, your prospecting blocks will be far less effective. We'll talk more about this next week, filling out and really putting together a quality plan so that you can utilize the skills that we're teaching you to prospect and close. The prospecting pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid is prospects you know little or nothing about. These are your just mets or not mets. The second level of the pyramid, solid contact information, personal line, email, etc., allows you to reach out to them consistently in a drip campaign. The third level of the pyramid, potential buying windows have been identified, complete contact records for decision makers and influencers have been obtained. They're an A, B, or C buyer or seller. The fourth level of pyramid, highly targeted list of the best or largest opportunities in your territory. These are your A's. These are the people that in the next 30 days are going to do something. The fifth level of the pyramid, hot inbound leads and referrals. So again, you're always building that. As you're building, you're going to get new A's into your pipeline. And then the sixth level, highly qualified prospects who are moving into the buying window for various reasons. So over time, you will learn to better identify these. You have different campaigns for each level. You can consistently and constantly filling people into each level. Because it's a pyramid doesn't mean when you meet someone tomorrow that they automatically start in the bottom of the pyramid. You're qualifying them. So you may qualify someone you meet tomorrow that is already at the fifth or sixth level. You need to identify that so that you do not miss opportunities, okay? The key to success with prospecting pyramid philosophy is a consistent daily focus on gathering qualifying information that identifies buying windows and stakeholders and moves prospects up the pyramid. Own your database. Your CRM is the most important tool in your sales toolbox. Allows the ability to manage details and tasks related to different contacts. Keeps you organized, able to segment and sort your prospect database and build prospecting lists. Helps systematically qualify prospects so they can be moved up the prospecting pyramid. What does a CRM help you with the most? All right. So again, part of what we're doing this week is having you work on tech tools. We have a ton of them. If you don't know which one to work on today, the default is always this one, your CRM. If you're like, I'm not sure if it should be Moxie or Maxa or Spacio, if you don't have a dedicated plan of action, you work on mastering your CRM as the default every single day. The law of familiarity. The more familiar a prospect is with you or your company, the more likely they will be to accept and return your calls, emails, social media, connection requests, etc. It can take between 20 to 50 touches to engage a prospect with little to no familiarity with you or your company, but just 1 to 10 touches to engage a warm inbound lead or a prospect who has a high degree of familiarity with you or your company. Lack of familiarity is why you get so many objections to your request for your prospect's time, making it extremely important to invest time and effort to build familiarity with your prospects. You chose a company that automatically they recognize. Then now your job becomes the more often they hear or see you, you're getting into this 1 touch to engage a warm inbound lead. 1 to 10 touches, sorry. So your message. A prospecting message is designed for one purpose, to quickly persuade your prospect to give you their time. That's what you're always looking for. That is why you always focus on setting an appointment. What is it, setting an appointment? Nothing but allowing them or allowing you to take some of their time, some of their valuable time. So that's all you're doing, persuading your prospect to give you their time. Prospects can sense fear and weakness, exude confidence and enthusiasm. This is the game face I'm talking about. This is the fake it till you make it. They are the 2 most powerful and persuasive non-verbal messages you send to prospects. Again, master the script, because mastering the script, they don't know you're reading it or that you memorized it. That makes you sound confident and enthusiastic about what you're doing. And that's the key to setting the appointment. You're not trying to get the listing on that first 2 minutes on the phone. You're trying to persuade them to meet with you and give you their time where that's the time and place where you would try to get the listing and start to close the deal, right? So what's in it for you? This is the most important question on your prospect's mind. When you deliver and answer that question, and you will, especially if you use the format of the LM Mama, LM Papa, then you're going to be well on your way to getting the appointments that you need. Getting what you want, there's only one technique that works for getting what you want on a prospecting touch, and that is to ask. Again, if you go back and dissect the dialogues that we're teaching you, that's what you're doing, right? You're asking and qualifying. Ask for the decision maker, the appointment, the demo, or the sale. 3 steps to asking. Ask with confidence and assume you will get what you want. Shut up. And then be prepared to deal with reflex responses, brush off, and objections. And the easiest, acknowledge, ask, and then ask a question and ask another. So developing a consistent response to rejection is as important as your initial pitch. You're going to get rejected, accept it, and move on. Telephone prospecting is the most efficient, cost-effective prospecting method there is. And that's why we teach it first. Fanatical prospectors set up daily phone blocks of 1 to 2 hours. Again, by design, we're trying to get you in that spirit, in that mood, by making you call 1 hour a day. They act as if this is a booked appointment on their schedule, and it is sacred. Nothing interferes. There's a 5-step framework for it. Get their attention, identify yourself, tell them what you want, bridge to it because, ask for what you want, and then be quiet. All right. So all of these things, again, we're going over quickly. It's just designed to reinforce what you learned this week and encourage you to get the book, read the book, and become better at everything that we're training you on. All right. So I am going to stop there. Jess and I need to get on our manager's call. So I promised you a shorter meeting this week or today. So you got a little longer time for your breakfast this morning. Hope to see all of you back at 9:30 for our last script practice of the week. And then our 10 to 11, we'll do the calls again today. I was really happy that Jennifer shared some of her success yesterday with all of us. I love what she said. The scripts work. And I thought to myself, and I think to myself every time I hear them, no, they don't. Agents work. The script is just a tool. So congratulations to Jennifer and all of you that I hope are seeing that the scripts are important. They're very, very powerful. But the key is you actually doing it. So we'll see you guys in about an hour. I'm going to log off now so I don't get in trouble with my boss. And I'll see you in a bit.